Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. From today, I am going to start how to take the content from the Hindu for our UPSC General Studies as well as for our optional called Political Science and International Relations. So this is day 1, 16 September, February 2022. So what are the things that I am going to discuss? How exactly should we go ahead with the Hindu and how we have to look at content for general studies. Before going into that, let me tell you very clearly that over a period of time, Hindu newspaper has become an indispensable part of our preparation, because if you look at GS paper 2, GS paper 3 and GS paper 4, majority of the content has been asked from the so-called dynamic aspects. Hence, much of the content has to be taken from the so-called Hindu newspaper itself. So with this discussion, let me start with the Hindu, and today the date is September 16. I am going to discuss these components. The first component is Goa Congress Legislative Party merges with BJP. Now this has been a continuing trend. First thing, where it is useful in GS paper 2 and GS paper 4. In GS paper 4, there is something called ethics in politics or political attitude. There you can write this example. And in GS paper 2, there is concept of defection and federal relations. How federal relations are being characterized. The relations between the center and state are known as federal relations. So in that context, we use this. What is the theme here? Actually, just like what has happened recently in Bihar, the same thing has happened in Goa. In Goa, there are 8 Congress ministers, Congress MLAs who have defracted from the party and they have went into BJP. Now, this raises the question of issue of governance or issue of democracy, because people vote for a particular representative and he is defracting the party. This is something which is uh, making the people to lose trust on the elected representatives. This is the first thing. Now, Hemant Soren seeks clarity from the governor. This can be related to the so-called disqualification of members of legislature. Disqualification of members of legislature. Recently, we know that Hemant Soren has been he has been questioned on the so-called his conflict of interest being as a minister in charge of mines. In 2019, he had allocated one contract to his brother. This brings him under disqualification as per Representatives of People's Act 1951. Right? Now, where you can use this? You can use this under the context of the so-called disqualification of members of the so-called MLAs, and you can use the same thing in one more area, that is called non-partisanship and impartiality. In ethics, you use this as a point of impartiality and non-partisanship. The third one is Tamil Nadu Chief Minister launches breakfast scheme, just like the midday meal scheme which was started by Kamrajar in the year 1956. This man has started the so-called, for class 1 to 5, he has started the breakfast scheme, a very wonderful scheme, and he said it clearly that this is not a freebie but it is a responsibility of the government. So you can quote this as example for good governance. You can also use this improving the education, health of people or health of the school kids, right? How to improve the so-called enrollment ratios, what is governance. You can also write this as example of welfare schemes of governance. So all these places you can use this statement. Roger Federer retires after Laver Cup. After almost playing for 22 years, just like Sachin Tendulkar, this man represents the so-called tennis, and he is resigning, or he is retiring from his active tennis life. Now, why I said this is, in ethics you can use, or in some essay writing you can use this, right? Some personalities, what they do is they bring uh, they bring beauty to the game itself. What do I mean by this? Some personalities, because of that person's, the beauty of that institution is going to be fulfilled. For example, TN Session, Election Commission of India, Roger Federer, tennis, Sachin Tendulkar, cricket. So when it comes to some personalities, they represent the institutions. As a result, this is going to build up the institution, and hence celebrities, role of celebrities in public life, it is very, very important in building this. So this is one thing that you can use. After 22 years of active life, this man is retiring. Delay in government flagship Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is going to invite penalties. The central government said that Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin is a central scheme, right, which is there, which is launched by Government of India in order to construct houses, and the deadline was earlier to get completed by March 2022, but as because of COVID-19, it was shifted 2 years down the line. However, some states, they are not implementing this in Tito. As a result, government said that we are going to invite, or we are going to collect penalties from those who are not following this. Where you can use this is again in the good governance. How? In order to ensure accountability in governance, these things can be used, right? And how we can implement particular schemes. You can write these things in answer writing. This one, aim is conciliation with the all armed groups of Northeast. This is used in internal security component. In internal security, there is insurgency, Northeast insurgency. Now, it is well known fact, in internal security, you study this. Now, here, the government of India has entered with, along with the government of the so-called Assam, they have entered into a peace agreement with 8 armed groups in Assam. This is the reason why this news is there. Now it is showing, or it is giving some information that you can use. The number of insurgency related information incidents in the Northeast has decreased from 824 to 158. This is first information that you can use. The civilian killings declined from 212 to 6, and the security forces were killed only 2 from earlier 20. More than 10,000 cadres have surrendered since 2014. This is huge success of Narendra Modi government, and this is bringing peace in the Northeast. Very, very important for national internal security component. After this page is about cities. I am not going to discuss these cities. It varies from place to place. Now look at this. Tamil Nadu Chief Secretary has been summoned over alleged conversions. What is this? In Tamil Nadu, in a particular uh, school, in a child care center, they started converting children or girls from poor background to follow Christianity. This was brought into the notice of the so-called National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. This is NCPCR, and this commission has asked a reply from Tamil Nadu government. Tamil Nadu government didn't reply. As a result, it has summoned the Chief Secretary of the state. Why they have not answered to their call. Now, where you can use this? You can use this in the so-called religious conversions. Right? Now, how or poverty is being exploited for conversion of religion. You can use that in one context. The second context is the role that is played by National Commission for Children. The third one is, as per Juvenile Justice Act, every child care center has to be registered with the central government, but this particular center was not registered. This is one thing that we have to understand. As a result, you can use this in this concept called poverty and associated issues. That is called poverty and developmental issues. After this, After this, you can go ahead with this, that is called move to pick Gujarat based export advice, based on export advice. Now what is this? Vedanta company, they initially thought to establish their industry in Maharashtra, but Maharashtra, but they moved from Maharashtra to Gujarat. Now, there was some political backlash in Maharashtra saying that it is the central government which forced this Vedanta company to move from Maharashtra to Gujarat. Why? Despite Maharashtra offering competitive bid, still Vedanta Foxconn Limited, they have moved their industry from Gujarat, from Maharashtra to Gujarat, right? Some people say that this is excessive intervention of the central government into the state government, because Narendra Modi being from Gujarat, they say that this is being moved. This is what Congress is saying. Now look at Pawar. Sharad Pawar is saying the same thing, right? It is like convincing a chain to move from Maharashtra to Gujarat, right? So this is what the thing is. Where you can write this? You can write this in the so-called corporate governance in ethics. The second thing is in federal relations. You can write it. Right, in federal relations, there are two things that I said. One is BJP, Congress people going into BJP, MLAs going into BJP. The second one is the central government or Vedanta Foxconn moving from the so-called Maharashtra to Gujarat. Now, this is despite Maharashtra government offering these people the competitive bidding, which means they have given them the utmost incentives that no state government has given, but even then they have moved out. So this is something that you can use in corporate governance. Now this is used in polity. In polity you have one thing called contempt of court. There is one YouTuber known as Savuku Shankar. Savuku Shankar. Now this man has commented saying that everyone in the higher judiciary is corrupt. As a result, the Madurai bench of High Court, Madras High Court, they have asked him to apologize, but he didn't apologize. As a result, he got 6 months jail for remarks on judiciary. The way you can use something on protecting the sanctity of the institutions, at the same time the rights of individuals, right? Rights of citizens. So remember the name Savaku Shankar. Savaku Shankar has been guilty of criminal contempt. Now why? He has lowered the prestige and dignity of the courts and judges. Moving on. Recently, Amit Shah has given a statement that Hindi will be the link language again, and this has raised the contention among the so-called Tamil Nadu cadre leaders, and they said that they are opposing it, and they say that there was one General Secretary of MDMK, Vaiko. He said that Mr. CN Annadurai opposed Hindi imposition in 1938 itself. In 1938 itself, Tamil Nadu has opposed Hindi imposition. As a result, the government should not force Hindi or Sanskrit to be national languages. And he also said that government of India has to change its policy towards Sri Lankan Tamils. Right. So what they are saying is they should have to change its policy towards Sri Lankan Tamils, and they have to call for a separate Elam. What is this Elam? A separate Tamil Nadu Tamilian area, political area for Tamils in Sri Lanka. Right, an international call on formation of separate Tamileelam under supervision of major nations. So they are asking that they have to bring pressure on Sri Lanka to give rights to Sri Lankan Tamils. So this is what they are saying. Where you can use this in the determinants of international relations. What are the various factors which determine international relations? In that, state politics is going to reflect on international arena. For example, when you go to India-Bangladesh relations, West Bengal is going to play a crucial role. When it comes to India-Sri Lanka relations, the Tamil Nadu government is going to play a crucial role. Right? In that angle, you can use this. Now, This one, anti-conversion bill, despite having no majority in the so-called legislative council in Karnataka, they have passed ordinance initially. Now, use of ordinance just to overcome the lack of majority is misuse of power. You can use this under misuse of power, where the Karnataka government has used ordinance route to pass the laws, even though they are not having the majority inside the legislative council. You can use that. Now there is some violence which has taken place in Bengal recently. Now in Bengal, the BJP leaders started a march on November 13th, that is from BJP's march to Nabana. There is a place called Nabana, and they started marching. In this march, there was huge violence that has taken place, and now the Bengali leaders, MLAs of Trinamool Congress as well as BJP, they are blaming each other. This is called where you can use this in the so-called uh, quality, that is called how responsible the MLAs are. You can use that, and then you can use an again in ethics, political governance or political ethics, right? After this, Kerala government has launched anti-rabies vaccination drive. It is starting anti-rabies vaccination. Now, what is the problem? Just like in every city, there are many stray dogs. Even in Kerala, there are many stray dogs. Hence, the local government has decided to administer anti-rabies vaccine for almost 2 lakh dogs. Initially, they thought that to cull these dogs, but the government of Kerala, they went rather than culling them, they went for giving the so-called vaccination. Where you can use this, this is can be used in empathy. This is an example of empathy in case studies. You can use this. Treat every creature, every living creature with the same standards that you treat a fellow human being, right? Next, Andhra Pradesh government committed for the idea of decentralization. Now decentralization, where you can use this governance, right? In order to have good governance, concentration of power, concentration of money, concentration of wealth should not be there. As a result, AP government chief minister, Andhra Pradesh chief minister has discussed that they are going to decentralize the government. So you can use in good governance examples. The next example is environmental ethics. Demolition of resort begins in Kerala. Remember the name. The name is in Kerala. There is some resorts called, these resorts are Kapiko resorts. Kapiko resorts. Right? Now what happened is they were constructed illegally on the backwaters of Kerala. Kapiko Research Private Limited, they have constructed this, and the High Court of Kerala, they have said that you have to demolish them, and the demolition process is under way, right? So you can use this example, right? Restoring ecological systems, right? So this is called punishing those who commit crime. You can use that example there. Now, new secretariat in Telangana used to be named after Ambedkar. In Telangana state, they are constructing a new secretariat and they are naming it after the name of Ambedkar. And Telangana Chief Minister Mr. KCR is demanding the same from the central government to rename the Central Vista project, that is the Indian Parliament, after the name of the so-called Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Just like the new secretariat is named after D.R. Ambedkar, he is also asking the central government to show the same measure and rename this Central Vista project in the name of Ambedkar. Now, where you can use this identity-based politics. Identity-based politics in society, you can use this. How? In society, caste system is still continuing, right? Why? Because they are using the leaders just after some caste. So they are restricting some leaders in the name of some caste or in the name of some downtrodden sections. As a result, they are just representing or continuing their caste-based identity politics, and this can be used in that dimension. And then comes to the editorial. Here, the curse on Goa, we have already discussed this. This is mockery of democracy, where the so-called BJP government has taken 8 MLAs from Congress, as well as this thing has recently happened in Bihar, where JDU has aligned with RJD. Earlier it has aligned with BJP, but now it has come out of BJP alliance and it has come to RJD. So this is something shock to BJP, but if we look at this thing, it is very clear. It is very clear that selfishness and greediness is occupying the positions today. Many MLAs, they are looking at selfishness, personal benefits, and they are conveniently joining other parties by betraying their electoral mandate. This is nothing but misuse of democratic powers. So this is mockery of democracy. So you can use the same thing. It is betraying the electoral mandate. People are going for personal benefits. They are joining, they are selfish, they are greedy. Right? Now, this also says that with mass defections, irrespective of any elections, and its outcomes are now becoming irrelevant. Bharatiya Janata Party has proved that it will form a government wherever and whenever it wants to form, which means now elections doesn't have any meaning, because everywhere you see defections happening across all the country. Right? This is one thing which is happening. Now there is one more thing called EWS Quota reservations, and now this is challenged in the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court said that there are 3 issues which has to be looked at. Whether permitting 10% of reservation to the so-called economically weaker sections is against the constitutional basic structure doctrine. That is the first question. The second question that they asked is it only related to admissions in private unaided institutions or in any other institutions? The last one is exclusion of other sections of communities. How does it impact in the so-called basic structure doctrine? Right? So now the Supreme Court is deciding this case. We have to follow up this case day after day, because this is going to be in news. Now what is the major contention is, they say that if you are having less than 8 lakhs, you are going to be called as economically weaker section. But there are some loopholes here. The first loophole is NSSO report says that majority of our population are below 8 lakhs. So it indicates that almost all the people should be beneficiaries. 90% of Indians is having less than 8 lakhs annual income. As a result, majority of them has to be getting this reservation. The second thing is, when you give reservation only to the so-called upper class people, you are denying the rest of the people, that is SCs, STs and BCs, from this 10%. What does this mean? Even in SCs, STs and BCs, if there are people with less than 9 lakhs, 8 lakhs per annum, now they are not eligible for reservations under this economically backward sections. So this is being contested. Right? Now the court is looking into this. We'll discuss this some other day, but remember, right? They also say that in the recent UPSC and JEE marks cutoffs, EWS quota has less number of marks rather than OBCs, hence it is question, right? So now the requirement is, you have to clearly determine whether 8 lakhs is correct figure or not, and you have to say whether every sections of community is getting benefits or not. So this is the thing which it is looking at. Eastern Economic Forum, this is something which is related to political science and international relations students. In Russia, for the development of Far East Russia, Russian government has started Eastern Economic Forum. Now India is trying to balance this with the so-called Indo-Pacific Economic Partnership Framework. Right. So how is it going to be advantage for India? This is not much relevance for the so-called GS, but for PSIR students it is important, right? And the next one is, this one, 6 held for rape and murder of Dalit sisters. Now in 2020, there was a similar incident called in a place called Hatharas district. A 20-year-old Dalit girl was raped and she was gang raped and she was killed. A similar incident has happened recently where 2 minor Dalit girls were found to be sexually assaulted and were hanged. Right now, in retaliation, the Congress is accusing the government that in the state there is no law and order. Now, where you can use this? You can use this in society. You can use this under how Dalits are being targeted at various places, women's security. You can use this examples. Now, there is one principle called utilitarianism in ethics. What is utilitarianism? Majority of the cases, you try to solve the problem by giving money. Here also, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister has given rupees 25 lakhs, a house and a farming land for the victim's family. Right? So you can use this principle there. However, this can be used in the safety of women. So SCO summit has started at a place called Uzbekistan city known as Samarkand, and all these SCO members are meeting. Just remember what are the SCO countries, partnerships countries: China, India, Pakistan, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. It was formed in 2001. It is a political, economic and security organization. This can be asked for prelims, and where the meeting was held, Samarkand. Right? This is the thing. Look at the place called Armenia and Azerbaijan. Right? Clashes is occurring. This you can use in international ethics. Right? Look at the place called Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is important for prelims further. Financial Stability Developmental Council. Again, this can be asked. The head of Financial Stability Developmental Council is Finance Minister. Is the head of Financial Stability and Developmental Council. It will be a council of various regulators, where regulators from RBI, SEBI, IRDAI, PFRDA are present. Right? However, the head is Finance Minister. Just remember that. That is again for prelims. This I said already. Federal calls a time for his magical career. The 40-year-old veteran who has won 20 Grand Slam titles has represented the game in an elegant manner. Right? In response to this, Sachin Tendulkar has stated that we fell in love with your tennis and it became a habit of looking at tennis, which means some people, they perform their duty or professional duty to such an extent that everyone gets appreciated, or everyone gets everyone looks at that profession as a great thing. So this is what the current affairs today is. You can use these things in the manner that I have discussed. I'll be telling you the tomorrow's Hindu paper in a similar way. Thanks for joining. Have a good day.